Just as his journey barely began, he stumbled upon a deadly hidden boss and was instantly defeated. The story could have ended right there, but Rent was given a second chance when he resurrected as a skeleton. From that crazy moment, his true adventure officially started. The narrative then rewinds to an ordinary morning when Rent was still a regular human. Born in a tiny, unmapped village, he woke up early to grab the best guild quests before the competition. These commissions varied wildly, ranging from slaying magical beasts and gathering herbs to mundane chores like sweeping streets. For a struggling adventurer like Rent, the Watermoon Labyrinth was the ideal place to grind for resources. While most people formed parties for safety, he usually went solo. The harsh reality was that even after 10 years of training, he was still stuck at the second lowest bronze rank. Because he was so weak, no team wanted him around as dead weight. Despite the risks, his genuine passion for the job and the need to survive by selling magic stones kept him going every morning. Fully aware of his limitations, he lived frugally and strictly stuck to peaceful, low-level zones. However, on this fateful day, Rent abandoned his usual caution. Upon discovering a secret passage in the labyrinth, he was overjoyed, believing he had finally found the perfect opportunity to change his life forever. Knowing a guild report would yield a massive reward, Rent let curiosity win and explored the vast. Moments later, he faced a bizarre monster. Its terrifying roar confirmed it was a dragon, and his instincts screamed that a weakling like him was doomed. He was instantly devoured, believing his life was over. Yet, Rent woke up. He was shocked to be alive, and even more horrified to realize he was now a conscious skeleton. Seeing his reflection, he knew he had become an undead, a creature defying the gods that a single purification spell could obliterate. Desperate to return to the human world, but terrified of being hunted as a monster, he fell into confusion. However, picked up his sword and analyzed his surroundings. Rent remembered that the continent's labyrinths were mysterious, dangerous, and scientifically unexplained. Suddenly, another skeleton appeared, and they clashed. Rent had a sword, but swinging it without muscles was incredibly clumsy. His opponent was just as pathetic, snapping its own leg off by tripping and desperately trying to reattach it. Watching this pitiful display, Rent realized his bleak future required a new approach. He ultimately decided to channel his aura to enhance his physical abilities, successfully enveloping his bony frame in energy, allowing him to easily defeat his opponent. Upon the enemy's fall, its energy automatically transferred to him and aided his recovery. He recalled a friend's research on entity evolution, which theorized that monsters could evolve into higher forms by accumulating experience or simply surviving. While skeletons usually stayed skeletons, there were rare precedents of them evolving into ghouls. This gave Rent hope. Meanwhile, since Rent hadn't returned, his friend decided to cook dinner alone. Back in the labyrinth, Rent began hunting stronger monsters, noticing that each battle boosted his power and granted him regeneration. Facing slimes immune to physical damage required him to carefully destroy their cores or slash them to pieces, which was risky since he could only use his aura once a day. Luckily, he managed to shatter a slime's core and took its magic stone. Dead slimes lose their acid and their fluids, often used as a raw ingredient in cosmetics, leave the skin silky smooth. At the same time, the Adventurers Guild grew worried about Rent's disappearance. A staff member named Jenna warned a new recruit exploring the labyrinth not to be reckless. Though saddened by his skeletal inability to eat or drink, Rent kept fighting. He gradually grew stronger, learning to wield basic magic and a weak holy aura, driven entirely by his ultimate goal to become human again. Over time, he became capable of taking on multiple skeletons at once. After slaying countless monsters, he finally evolved, regaining his hair and flesh. His new appearance was still grotesque, but it was a massive improvement over being just bones. With his vocal cords recovered, albeit sounding strange, Rent began practicing speaking again. His evolution massively buffed all his stats to an entirely new level. He could easily overpower goblins in a fair fight. Rent also learned to channel mana into his blade, adding a magical effect to every slash that cut down charging goblins like fruit. He was stunned. While farming, Rent encountered Rena, a fresh recruit recently introduced to the labyrinth. Delighted to see another human after so long, He only dared to watch from a distance due to his undead appearance. He decided to follow along and act as her secret bodyguard. Sure enough, trouble struck when a monster ambushed her. Though Rina had solid swordsmanship, the surprise attack and her lack of stamina quickly left her cornered against a wall. Seeing the dire situation, Rent leaped out, shouted to draw the monster's attention, and casually sliced it in half. However, when he walked over to greet her, Rina was terrified by the sight of a talking skeleton, wondering since when monsters held conversations. Seeing her panic, Rent played innocent and insisted he was completely harmless. Initially in full panic mode, Rina gradually calmed down when Rent introduced himself as the adventurer she had heard about previously. After hearing a brief rundown of his story, she slowly started to believe him, though she remained guarded. She thanked him for the rescue and asked if she could leave. Rent explained the misunderstanding and simply asked her to buy him a cloak so he could return to the human world, offering to pay her. Rina agreed, promising to repay his help as befitted a knight's daughter. Rent knew she might report him to the guild, but his experienced, I told him a kind-hearted girl like her wouldn't betray him. While waiting, Rent farmed monsters day and night. He developed sharper eyesight and precise new combat instincts. Surprisingly, Rina returned right on schedule. She brought the clothes, returned his change, and thoughtfully included shoes, gloves, and bandages to cover his exposed flesh. Deeply moved by her care, Rent tried on the outfit. He looked so neat and presentable that Rina's fear practically melted away. She complimented his appearance, handed him a mirror, and recognized that his face would still cause trouble in the city. Thankfully, the perfectly prepared Rina had conveniently picked up a mask as well. However, the moment Rent put it on, the mask bizarrely latched onto his face and couldn't be removed. Startled, he tried using holy energy to remove it to no avail, leaving Rina astonished. She apologized profusely for buying a cursed item, but Rent reassured her. Once he grew stronger, he could easily break the spell, and wearing it permanently was actually quite convenient for now. Hearing this, Rina took his hand, stating she fully believed he was a good person and would no longer be afraid. She happily agreed and invited him to head back to the city together. She explained she had moved from the capital because the local dungeons were perfect for quickly training to become a model adventurer. Rent understood but advised her that true adventurers must know when to retreat, as recklessness costs lives. She admitted this was solid advice. At the city gate, guards demanded a routine face check. Seeing Rent hesitate, Rina suggested a detour, but he declined. He didn't want her stripped of her license for smuggling a monster into the city and prepared to enter alone. However, Rent ultimately let her lead the way. When the soldiers demanded he remove the mask despite his ID, Rina spun a sympathetic tale about his face being ravaged by a monster and the mask being permanently cursed. After failing to pull it off themselves, the pitying guards let them through. Rent thanked her, but before Rina could say it was just returning the favor, he vanished completely from her sight. Rent believed she would undoubtedly become a talented adventurer who would soon surpass him, so he wanted to evolve into a more human form before they met again. He decided to crash at the home of his close friend, Lorraine. Finding the door unlocked and getting no answer, he let himself in. Lorraine was fast asleep in the dead of night, so Rent had to tap her head to wake her up. Opening her eyes to see a masked figure with the unmistakable marks of the undead, Lorraine jolted awake in absolute shock, frantically asking what on earth had happened. A few minutes before Rent arrived, Lorraine was visibly anxious. He had been out exploring for a long time. Lorraine sprawled on the sofa, but seeing his current state completely stunned her. As a magic and monster researcher, she had never heard of someone surviving being swallowed by a dragon in such a form. When she asked if the dragon was still there, Rent shook his head. Though absurd, the living proof was impossible to deny. Lorraine showed zero fear, making Rent realize what an incredible friend she was. When she seriously asked if he was certain he was still the same Rent she knew, he admitted he had been doubting himself too. He was determined to remain an adventurer and climb the ranks. However, his appearance meant he couldn't publicly accept quests or return to his old lodging. Lorraine offered to take on commissions in his place and let him stay at her home. Knowing he hated depending on others, she proposed he pay for his stay by letting her study his unique undead body, saving herself middleman fees while giving Rent a solid sum of money. Cash in hand, Rent headed straight to the blacksmith for a new weapon. Despite his frightening appearance, The shop owner welcomed him warmly. Inspecting Rent's old, well-maintained sword, she noted it simply couldn't withstand his intense channeling of mana, aura, and holy energy. She was utterly astonished, as Rent was only the second customer she'd ever met capable of wielding all three. With his payment ready, they committed to forging him a high-quality sword. Though the sword's completion date was uncertain due to her perfectionist husband, Rent accepted the terms and asked the blacksmith to contact the scholar Lorraine when it was ready. Meanwhile, Lorraine was researching the undead to understand Rent's condition, though a definitive conclusion eluded her. While most spawned in dungeons, high-level entities sometimes created them from corpses as mindless minions who lost their humanity and memories. Ultimately, Lorraine tentatively concluded that the Rent standing before her was indeed the same friend she had always known. This led her to reminisce about their first meeting. Back then, Rent was only an iron-ranked adventurer, whereas Lorraine was the kingdom's youngest scholar and had instantly achieved silver rank upon registering. When Lorraine finally found her target herb, she dug it up with absolute precision to preserve its medicinal roots. To her utter amazement, she noticed Rent had already effortlessly gathered a large quantity of the exact same plant. Suddenly, a goblin ambushed them. Without hesitation, Rent shielded her and instructed her to cast a fire spell. Though frightened, Lorraine unleashed a fireball that incinerated both the goblin and a chunk of the surrounding forest, prompting Rent to acknowledge the terrifying power of a silver-ranked adventurer. She was even more surprised by his rich, practical knowledge of herbs, combat, and forest survival. Meanwhile, the blacksmith couple promised to craft the finest sword within Rent's budget, lending him a temporary blade capable of withstanding his mana and aura in the meantime. Though they noticed he was cursed, they stayed silent, guessing he didn't want to cause trouble and believing he would eventually open up. Rent thanked them and left. That evening, Lorraine was thrilled to eat Rent's cooking for the first time in ages, though she noticed his sadness at being unable to taste the food. She explained her research showed he was different from ordinary undead and expressed curiosity about his next evolutionary form. Rent replied that his ultimate goal was to regain a human-like body. The next day, Rent returned to the labyrinth and saved a rookie adventurer from a slime. Wary of fake emergencies used for robberies, he immediately walked away, but the man persistently followed and begged to tag along. He was a failed baker drowning in debt, forced to risk his life as an adventurer to find 15 gold coins within a week. They headed to the secret area Rent had discovered earlier. The dragon was nowhere to be seen, and they found nothing valuable until the baker discovered a small passage. Rent decided to let him report it to the guild to collect the reward, focusing instead on exploring inside. Inside the empty room, Rent felt deeply uneasy, while the baker was far too relaxed. A red teleportation magic circle suddenly appeared, but Rent couldn't stop the man from stepping into it. Realizing only he could see the magic, Rent guessed it led to a deeper floor filled with incredibly powerful monsters. Though logic dictated he should save himself, he ultimately chose to jump in after him. They instantly teleported into a boss room face-to-face with a colossal skeleton. Rent immediately drew his sword and charged head-on, but the sheer recoil of his attacks knocked him back. Even when he swung with all his might using his aura, the giant monster only suffered a minor scratch. Switching to mana yielded no better results. With the boss room sealed shut, their only escape was to defeat the monster. Rent recalled an admired adventurer's words: "Only those who refuse to give up until the very end are worthy of the title." Infusing holy energy into his sword, the blade pierced the monster's defenses and destroyed its leg. Seizing the opening, he charged forward and delivered the finishing blow, plunging the holy energy concentrated at his sword's tip straight into the skeleton's skull and shattering it to pieces. Thanks to this holy energy, Rent healed Loris just in time, pulling him from the brink of death. The massive creature dropped an enormously valuable magic stone. Since Rent didn't need the money, he gave it to Loris to rebuild his life. Loris hesitated, feeling he had contributed nothing. However, Rent showed his undead arms, explaining he couldn't deal directly with the guild or shops and needed a middleman. Deeply moved, Loris agreed, determined to start fresh. The bakery, named the Red Dragon Pavilion, surprised Rent with its pristine condition. Loris's wife, Isabel, rushed out to greet her husband, having been worried sick. Hearing about the magic stone and the mysterious benefactor, she was suspicious and feared another scam. But Loris insisted he trusted Rent. The couple bowed in gratitude. However, on his way home, Rent realized something terrifying. His undead instinct to crave human flesh was awakening, triggered earlier by seeing Loris's wounds. He fought to suppress it as he returned to Lorraine's house, but seeing her brought the craving back with a vengeance. Rent stared so intensely that Lorraine grew uneasy. Finally losing control, he threw his arms around her and blurted out incoherent words. Thinking he was confessing his feelings, Lorraine immediately shoved him away, knocking him unconscious with a light spell and following up with a sleep spell for good measure. When Rent awoke, he profusely apologized for the attack. Sympathetic to the natural undead instinct to crave human flesh, Lorraine forgave him and assured him it was just an accident. While examining the bite, Rent used his surprisingly proficient holy energy to heal her, leaving Lorraine with a comforting, warm sensation. As her wound closed, Rent noticed his body was looking much more human, retaining only a slight pallor. However, his mask had partially chipped away, which worried him about how he could appear in public without raising suspicion. Lorraine quickly discovered that the mask could actually transform. Despite focusing his willpower and with Lorraine's help, the mask still refused to come off completely. When Rent asked why he didn't skip straight to a more human-like vampire, Lorraine explained that monsters must climb the evolutionary ladder one step at a time, much like the adventurer ranking system. She shared a scholarly hypothesis that monsters evolve based on their environment and willpower, adapting traits like fire in volcanic areas or water in aquatic regions. In Rent's case, his burning desire to regain his human form had guided his evolution to become more human-like. If correct, this hypothesis would be a major breakthrough in labyrinth biology. Rent wondered if evolving into a vampire might eventually allow him to use sheer willpower to reverse evolve back into a human. Lorraine immediately shut down this overly optimistic idea, but predicted his next evolution would require undiscovered special conditions rather than just monster hunting. She promised to support Rent throughout the process. The next morning, while Lorraine slept, Rent woke up early to train. His old sword was severely damaged from the combined strain of aura, mana, and holy energy. When he brought it to the blacksmith, Clope scolded him for treating the weapon so recklessly. Rent explained that the metal simply couldn't handle the holy energy. Clope was utterly astonished to learn that Rent had discovered an uncharted area in the Water Moon Labyrinth and defeated a colossal skeleton. Eager to continue exploring this new zone, Rent requested his new sword be forged quickly. Since it wasn't ready, Clope lent him a better temporary blade. On his way out, Rent spotted Loris and his wife preparing to reopen their shop. Seeing them so busy and full of hope warmed his heart more than it had in a long time. Feeling lighter, he headed toward the labyrinth, determined to keep grinding his way back to a normal appearance. To test her hypotheses, Lorraine had Rent ingest several toxins lethal enough to kill an ordinary person. The results utterly astonished her. Not only was Rent largely unaffected, but he simply complained that they tasted terrible. Lorraine concluded that Rent possessed an extraordinarily strong poison resistance, could still use recovery potions without side effects, and suffered no disruptions to his sleep patterns. The only issue left was Rent's occasional craving for human flesh. Lorraine handed him a vial of her own blood. Tasting a single drop significantly diminished his cravings, and Rent sincerely thanked Lorraine, promising to treasure the vial. When he decided to head to the guild for new quests, Lorraine objected. She revealed that despite his bronze rank, his past contributions were so valued that the guild was rumored to be considering him for a full-time staff position. While touched, Rent had no intention of becoming an administrative employee. He wanted to climb the ranks and evolve. Lorraine explained that earning personal achievements required him to take on quests, but doing so under his original identity would expose him as a monster. She proposed he register under a new name and start over from the lowest rank. At the registration counter, Rent was pleasantly surprised that Sheila didn't recognize him as she advised him to list his skills. Taking in the familiar scenery from 10 years ago, he felt a wave of nostalgia. He registered using his own first name combined with Lorraine's surname. Seeing the name, Sheila was taken aback, recalling the missing adventurer. Rent quickly played it off, claiming to be a relative of Lorraine who had also heard of the missing man. When Sheila learned they lived together, her suspicions deepened, Knowing the old, Rent had also been very close to Lorraine. After receiving his new iron rank badge, he immediately entered the labyrinth to start grinding. Along the way, he spotted two newcomer adventurers struggling against a goblin and a slime. Seeing the newcomers had the situation under control, Rent didn't intervene and continued toward the uncharted zone, a major achievement for an iron-ranked adventurer. Teleporting from the boss room, he arrived in a dilapidated chamber filled with old objects and ordinary, non-undead skeletons, proving people had once lived there. Suddenly, a voice from behind made Rent flinch. A hooded woman appeared, radiating a dangerous aura as she demanded his purpose. Rent explained he was just a wandering adventurer, but she argued that adventurers were simply thieves and attacked before he could defend himself. Despite wrapping himself in his aura, Rent was blasted into a wall. The strike burned away his clothes, revealing his undead body. Finally understanding how he had managed to reach this place, the woman immediately stopped, apologized for the misunderstanding, and offered her own cloak as compensation. The mysterious woman explained that the area held special meaning to her and asked Rent not to report it to the guild. In exchange, she offered a valuable map that automatically recorded and reproduced any traversed labyrinth or space. Recognizing it as a truly rare artifact, Rent accepted the deal, and the woman promptly teleported him out of the labyrinth. Back home, Rent recounted the entire incident. Given his recent streak of bizarre encounters, Lorraine worried he might be under the influence of some curse. However, they inspected the map and confirmed it was entirely curse-free and safe to use. When Rent channeled mana into it, the artifact instantly displayed the layout of the Water Moon Labyrinth, even pinpointing the real-time positions of the two newcomers exploring inside. This left Lorraine absolutely stunned, as an artifact capable of tracking explorers was easily of national-level significance. Rent then asked Lorraine to examine his new cloak. She determined it wasn't cursed either. However, Lorraine stressed that the mysterious woman's identity was the real issue. Her power was at least gold rank, and she had intended to kill Rent on sight. Even so, Rent planned to return the next day out of curiosity and a desire to learn more about her. On his way back to the labyrinth, Rent mused that if people knew a dragon had eaten him alive, they would see him as a pitiful victim. Instead, discovering hidden zones and battling powerful enemies made it feel like a true adventure. However, upon arriving, Rent found the hidden area's entrance sealed off. Guessing the woman didn't want him back, he reluctantly left. Meanwhile, at the Adventurers Guild, everyone was worried about the original Rent since he had been missing for so long. He had helped many people in the past, and even played a role in training Sheila into the professional staff member she was today. Just as they were discussing him, the disguised Rent suddenly appeared behind them, startling everyone. He requested a quest to eliminate 3 orcs and collect their meat, a mission requiring at least a mid-tier bronze rank. She reminded him to retreat immediately if things got dangerous, as everyone only gets 1 life. Rent agreed. Rent completed the quest in an absurdly short amount of time, leaving Sheila and the bystanders utterly astonished. He carefully retrieved the blocks of monster meat from his magic bag, an essential adventurer's tool he had spent ages saving up for in his past life, silently thanking his past self for his perseverance. Seeing the meat, Sheila immediately confirmed the commission was fulfilled, announcing that the higher-ups had officially approved Rent to take the bronze rank promotion exam. Rent was overjoyed, his heart swelling with excitement that his efforts had been recognized. Lorraine agreed that with his abilities, the promotion was entirely deserved. However, when she asked about his registered name, Rent revealed he had taken the surname Vivi. Shocked, she choked on her water and pointed out that this might make people suspect he was her old, missing friend. Rent explained he wanted to pose as a distant relative to quell the local rumors about a mysterious man living with her, hoping to avoid causing her any further trouble. He should consider her home his family and drop the formalities. Rent happily agreed. Although the promotion exam was scheduled months away to allow for preparation, Rent decided to take it the very next day, trusting his 10 years of experience over studying. The exam consisted of theory and practical portions. The theory test involved processing monster materials, offered in written or oral formats depending on literacy. Rent noticed Laura, the pink-haired girl from the labyrinth, was also participating. Taking the exam for only the second time, he leisurely observed the others and easily secured the top spot, with a perfect score. For the practical portion, candidates had to form teams to complete a mission. Sheila paired Rent with two rookies, Ryo, a frontline swordsman, and Laura, a rear-line support healer. Their objective was to reach a marked point in the New Moon Labyrinth within 2 days, with the first arriving team claiming the grand prize. While the other teams rushed in, Rent noticed the provided map was an outdated version from 15 years ago. Suspecting a deliberate trap to evaluate the candidates, he suggested buying a new one. Thanks to his market knowledge, they secured an updated map for half the price. Comparing the two revealed hidden collapsed areas and traps, deeply impressing Ryo and Laura with Rent's experience. Rent also pointed out the trailing horse-drawn carriages, explaining they were used by examiners who often created deliberate obstacles. Inside the labyrinth, the two newcomers showed solid coordination, but the overwhelming number of monsters forced them to rely on Rent. Sensing something was off, he found a monster-luring scent pouch planted at the entrance, confirming the guild was intentionally testing their problem-solving skills under pressure. Shortly after dealing with the pouch, Rent detected a faint human presence ahead, signaling a potential ambush. His prediction came true when another team attacked from the shadows. Because they were prepared, Rent swiftly assigned roles. Ryo engaged the close combat fighter, while Rent rapidly dodged attacks to neutralize the enemy archer and mage. Ryo initially struggled against his stronger opponent, but Laura's timely healing allowed him to hold his ground and secure the win. This skirmish taught the newcomers a profound lesson. As Rent's group departed, a guild examiner emerged, revealing that the attacking team was actually another guild plant meant to test their ambush reactions. Meanwhile, the guild master summoned Sheila to report on Rent. Reassured she wouldn't be punished, she answered their questions honestly. The guild master was highly suspicious of Rent due to his veteran demeanor and mysterious nature, speculating a connection to a past incident, and ordered Sheila to report any future suspicious behavior immediately. Back in the labyrinth, Rent and his teammates followed their updated map, pressing forward until they finally reached the door to the boss room. To reach the rendezvous point, they had to pass through this area. Since Ryo and Laura had never faced a boss, Rent reassured them that knowing when to retreat was crucial for an adventurer, and preserving their lives was nothing to be ashamed of. While preparing, an annoyed rival team approached, hurling provocations and disrespecting Laura. Surprisingly, Rent then voluntarily let them enter the boss room first. Though Ryo grew impatient, Rent intended to use them as guinea pigs to observe the boss's fighting patterns. The rival team was quickly crushed and had to be rescued by guild personnel, leaving Ryo and Laura deeply shaken. Rent eased their anxiety by pointing out that even if they failed, they would be rescued. Reminded of his own past ambitions, Rent realized that facing hardship was an adventurer's most important quality. With their wills aligned, the trio stepped into the boss room. Inside,